redemption songs.
When you write that?
All my life.
So before we dive into this movie review for Bob Marley One Love, I want to go ahead and clarify that I know nothing about the history of Bob Marley. So going into this movie, I was very, very fascinated by all the details. I did, however, know what his music represented, how it changed the world, who Bob Marley was. I just didn't know the specifics. So again, I was genuinely eager and excited to watch this movie. The trailers looked good, and I gotta say right out the bat, I really thoroughly enjoyed this movie. The first movie of 2024 to actually wow me and blow me out of the water. This movie is fantastic, but what is this movie exactly about? Because it doesn't cover the entire life of Bob Marley, which I gotta say, I need to commend the filmmakers for that, because it feels like we're just getting so many biopics that try to span the entire lives of these just geniuses, and they try to condense that into an hour and a half to sometimes even a 3-hour long movie, and even then, it's not even enough. What we need is a documentary TV series on that spans multiple seasons to even scratch the surface. So to be able to call something a biopic in the form of a movie feels especially hard to do. So what they do here instead is that they actually take just a couple of years of Bob Marley's life, and they do go back and forth between his childhood and, you know, the present time, which was the 1976 through 1978 era of Bob Marley and his peace tour over in Jamaica. Meanwhile, the country of Jamaica is facing a ton of political turmoil, facing a lot of violence and hatred, and it goes as far as to cause some mass shootings and a lot of death. And so Bob Marley rallies the Wailers and they perform this concert trying to provide peace. However, things go south, and he takes a couple of years to reflect and realize that he is not just the messenger, but he is actually the message as well, to provide peace and stability in the country of Jamaica. And if you guys don't know this, spoiler alert, he actually succeeds. What just an amazing story. The fact that Bob Marley and the Wailers were able to change the direction of the world is just insane to me. And the fact that we were able to tell this in a condensed, almost a little under 2 hours of a feature film, I thought that was very impeccable, because the movie kept me invested in Bob Marley, all of the other characters, the story, the political values of what's going on over in Jamaica, as well as the rest of the world. And something that I really found interesting about this movie was that it takes you outside of Black America and shows you what a Black worldview is like. We see Bob Marley in not only Jamaica, but London and other places of the world, and where he is being celebrated. And it is just a great time at the cinema to watch this story and to see this whole new perspective on culture. And I really found a lot of value out of this movie. So the movie Bob Marley One Love was directed by Reinaldo Marcus Green, a name that I'm not actually too familiar with, but after watching this movie and everything that went into the filming and the crafting of this movie, I'm just genuinely excited to see some more of this man's filmography, because wowee, this movie is something special. I swear, while watching this movie, it felt like the director of the photography and the best boy and the whole gang of gaffers, it kind of felt like they were all just kind of one unit. Like they were one person who shared a similar mindset, because everything in terms of the lighting and the camera work just matches so well. In one instance, you are in this field of fire and you see the lights flickering, but then they use lighting to transition you from one scene to the next, and all of a sudden, you're up on stage, making you feel a sense of uneasiness, but also happiness and that hope. I feel like that's what this movie is overall trying to represent, because the movie has those undertones of darkness. This is such a dark movie. You hear and learn a lot about Bob Marley and what he went through, what he struggles with, and I won't go into more spoilers in case if people don't know about it, but he does suffer through a lot. But then on top of all of that, this movie also likes to discuss the pursuit of hope. And that is such a great message, because it succeeds. There is usually a lot of hope in movies to where it just kind of lingers on after the fact. But with this movie, it tells you that there's hope, and then it caps it off with a nice little ribbon, and it makes you feel special. It makes you feel like, yeah, the fact that there is hope, and the fact that you can rely on hope to have some change in the world and provide some peace, and to actually see it happen, it showcases a whole different story in that, yeah, hope. It is capable of being achieved in not only the world back then, but also the world today. We can apply a lot from this movie in terms of how we're going to see history today. Because there's a lot going on right now in the world, and what we need right now is peace, hope, and prosperity. I think the script here is really, really excellent. It is such a solid script. Some of the pacing does linger, especially around the time when you explore his life in London for the few years that he was there creating Exodus. But then again, being able to see the creation of Exodus and then seeing the conflict between the art and then also the music and the feel and everything there, just the discussion alone is something worth watching this film for. It's a lot of fun, even though that part of the movie kind of felt sluggish, I still really enjoyed it. And then talking more about Kingsley Ben-Adir as Bob Marley, I thought that his performance was very, very excellent. It was stellar to watch. There was about 10% of the movie, though, to where it just kind of felt like he didn't know how to be Bob Marley. It kind of felt like he was just kind of drifting, and I kind of felt like maybe that had to do with his character and the dark places that his character does visit. But then again, I feel like it's more so on the performance. But again, that's not to say that he didn't do a good job, because I'd say 95% of the movie, he does a very, very good job. It's just that 10 to 5% of the movie to where it is noticeable. It kind of feels like a nail that's just sticking out that needs to be hammered down. And that's really it. It's not a big flaw, but it is something that I did notice while watching the movie. And on top of that, we have Lashana Lynch as Rita Marley, and her performance is also equally as captivating, if not more. Her emotional scenes really cut through, and you feel a lot of just how she feels about Bob Marley and the situation that he's being faced with and their whole relationship, their dynamic, exploring that. It was just very, again, the word I have to use here is captivating. It was such a stellar time at the movie theater watching these two bounce off of each other. I really dug it. I really was just jamming with their emotions, and I really love the performance here. I do believe that she should be nominated, and I know it's kind of early, but she should be nominated for like a Best Supporting Actress award. She does a great job. It's so good. Personally, I do feel as though a lot of America may miss the mark here in terms of culture, because there is a lot of culture being discussed here, more than just Black American culture. There is music culture, there's world culture, there's the culture of Jamaica, there's political values, political ties, and there's just a lot that someone who is going into this for the first time needs to be very cautious of and aware of. Whereas most people who go to watch a movie, they're just there to turn off their brain and have a good time. So some may see this movie as dry or boring or pedantic, but for me, this movie was very intriguing. It was worthwhile. I loved the political scheming. I loved the hope, the residual messages left behind by this movie, because it leaves its mark and it does do it differently than what most movies, again, do today. I gotta say, I feel terrible for anyone who finds this movie boring, or if they just can't understand. Because yes, there is a lot going on here, but if you watch this movie a second or even a third time, I dearly hope that those who watch this movie find enjoyment and also find the messages behind this movie to be worth something of value. There's so much here in terms of humanity, the arts, different cultures that you can learn from and take away in this movie. And it's a true story. I thought this movie was artfully respectable, overall a respectable movie, and I highly recommend this one. It gets my Aaron Austin stamp of approval 100%. If you guys have seen Bob Marley One Love, let me know what you guys thought about the movie in the comments down below. I'm very, very eager to see everyone's take on this movie, whether it's historical takes or whether it's a certain message you got out of this movie, because this movie, it's a very wise movie, and the character that is Bob Marley, especially as the human himself, it's just, you learn a lot. You can gain a lot of wisdom from this movie, and there's just a lot to take in and a lot to discuss about this movie. And so I'm very, very excited about the discussion down below, especially for this movie. Also, if you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like and hit subscribe. It does help out with the channel quite a lot. And if you guys want to watch some more movie reviews, also be sure to turn on that notification bell. Otherwise, my name is Austin. Be sure to check out some other movies here on my movie review channel, and look out for next week when I review, well, I guess this week I'm reviewing Madam Web, which not looking forward to that, but I do movie reviews every week, so be sure to check it out. But otherwise, yeah, my name is Austin, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.